Hey TPT sellers, it's Mike Fuchigami. I'm the host of the SEO Tpreneur YouTube community. I'm on a quest to try to make $8,000 in TPT earnings this month. Today is Wednesday, August 7th, 2024. And I thought I would do a little bit of a TPT income report. Before I go too deep into the numbers, my first thought was, why do we care about TPT income reports? And I asked that because normally I start this series by saying if we'll be talking about some numbers, and if talking about earnings makes you feel uncomfortable, then this is not the video for you. And then I talk about how the Sunday TPT SEO series is more generic and talks about TPT SEO in general. I think I saw another YouTuber who makes a lot more money than I do. I think I saw a thumbnail saying that they weren't going to do income reports anymore. And so then is it a small YouTuber thing where we're trying to get people's attention and talking about money makes people interested? If we don't do well, is it like watching a car crash? You can't stop but look. And I know some of us enjoy going to the TPT Facebook groups because it's like grab some popcorn and watch the drama. I'm going to share my earnings so far. And if that typically makes you uncomfortable, I invite you to stay for a minute or two, and let's just explore what it is. I'll give some examples of how I feel uncomfortable when I hear about other people's earnings, but obviously you do what's important to you, and if you need to leave, this is a good time to leave. So some quick numbers. Overall, my return on ad spend is 1. That means for every dollar I spend on Facebook ads, I've made $1 in TPT earnings attributed to that ad, at least at a very high level. My month-to-date earnings right now is $830, which represents a 63% increase from last year. Last year in this time period, I had made $511. I love the TPT dashboard. So easy to see how we are doing compared to before. And I said that I made $830. How did you feel? So for me, I'm a little bit proud because if you've been watching the channel for a bit, you know that this year, I've been pretty consistently 30% down from last year. So then it makes me think maybe some of the things that I'm trying, like Facebook ads or my email marketing or my product preview updates, maybe that's leading to the increase in revenue. And then instantly, I think that's not going to stay because right now it's a sale. And so people are more in a buying mood. And then in a couple of days, it'll drop down. So this won't be sustainable. And I know other TPT sellers, when things are going well, there's always that fear that it's not going to be sustainable or that it's seasonal. So things are going to crash. And for me, from an SEO perspective, at least in TPT land, I haven't been doing it long enough that I feel confident that, oh yeah, if there's a dip, I'll be able to get back up to where I used to be. I think that sort of confidence comes with time. But the more that we're able to deal with obstacles and deal with copycats or drama or whatever it is that sort of makes TPT land a little bit dramatic, the more that we're able to overcome and rise above and increase our earnings for our stores, the more confident we become in being able to deal with this. So I feel a little bit proud that I'm at plus 63% over last year. But then I think about some TPT sellers who've been excited and emailing me because they know I like stats and they're like, oh, I'm 5,000% higher from last year. And that can happen if, for example, you made, I don't know, $1 last year and you made $500 this year, which is fantastic. And then I feel a little bit down like, oh no, my sales aren't up as much. But what I have to try to remember is that my self-worth shouldn't be based on how my business is doing compared to your business. I learned from Ed Milet that idea about equanimity and trying to separate our sense worth from our job or our TPT business. I had a mental health crisis because I identified as a grade 8 teacher and I failed, or I felt like I failed my students as a grade 8 teacher in a life or death situation. And I crashed pretty hard. On one level, I know it's important for me to separate my sense of self-worth from my job or my income. On the other hand, it's really hard not to have a sense of like, oh, he's making so much more than I am, or she's making so much more than I am, but I'm working so hard. What's wrong with me? Well, there's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. If we separate our business, then the question becomes, okay, well, what's happening in the business? What could I do differently in the business to try to increase revenue? I think there's value in talking about the numbers because otherwise we're talking about apples and oranges, I think. It's hard to know what TPT strategies are working if we don't see the proof. The more I play the game, the more I realize that you can have a fantastic product or a horrible product. If people don't know about your product, then they won't buy. So it really becomes about sales and marketing. So yeah, year over year compared to last year, I made 63% more. I've made $830 this month. We're about a quarter of the way through the month. So if things continue to increase, maybe I'll make $4,000. So I'm not there at my $8,000 goal yet. Now, what if I told you, if I compare my year-over-year earnings after I account for how much I've spent on Facebook ads, well, compared to last year, I'm actually down $992. Does that make you feel a little bit better? Or does that make it more acceptable for me to talk about my income earnings if I'm not making that much? What is it about talking about the specifics of earnings that makes people feel uncomfortable? And I get that culturally, it can be inappropriate to talk about earning. But if you're coming to this YouTube channel for TPT seller tips and tricks, how do you prove if a strategy is effective or not effective? Maybe we use a keyword ranking tool to figure out, oh, I went from page 3 to page 1, therefore it's effective. But if you went to page 1 of a keyword that no one is looking for and it doesn't really increase sales, is that effective? Maybe. Here's my Google Sheet tracking how much I've spent on Facebook ads. I started the experiment in July 18. It's ongoing. And as of today, August 7th, I've spent around $1,000 Canadian on Facebook ads. And I'll talk more about the different ads and how I'm tweaking that along the way. For the ads, I'm now mostly running ads directly to the TPT product. And so then the TPT earnings, what I'm doing is I'm looking at a high level, thinking about all the inputs and outputs to the system as a whole. So it's actually very hard for me to track whether or not the ads are working. If I go to the TPT dashboard and click on traffic, it's now reporting UTMs. And I can see here, here's my Facebook lead. So this is the resource that teachers would have downloaded from my email funnel. In exchange for your email address, I'll send you this freebie and other information. So they download the PDF, and in that PDF, there are some upsell images to my different products, and I have UTM codes on them. And so I can see, yeah, okay, $49.99. Now I use very long UTM codes. And although it looks truncated here with the ... if I were to scroll up and download the data in the CSV file, the full UTM codes are there. But I can see here, here's my Facebook email ad where I'm advertising directly to my TPT product, and I can see there was a $39.99 sale. The conversion rates here aren't very meaningful because when I send the UTMs, it's 1 UTM per ad, and I'm running 10 different ads. So in an Excel sheet, I'd have to calculate and add these UTMs together to figure out the click-throughs and then the earnings and the units sold. But for me, when I look at this, this is proof of concept that, hey, the email funnel with the PDF worked. The direct to the TPT product worked. The ConvertKit email with an upsell path to some products has also worked. And then here's my blog, readingstrategies.ca. And I can see that that has led to a reading thing. And then here are more Facebook ads, right? $675 from that ad, $375 earnings from this ad. So rather than spend time trying to figure out the UTMs and which funnel path was successful, I'm just looking at it together as, here's how much money I'm spending. Here are all the things that I'm trying. And compared to my expenses, which are only the Facebook ads in this measurement, am I making more or less money? I don't think UTMs are fully successful because, for example, if you were to visit on your phone, the UTM would be triggered and saved as a click-through from your phone. But if you were to wish list the item and then later on your computer, you go to TPT and you buy from your desktop, that wouldn't be attributed to the UTM because you're using a different device and a different session. That would be attributed as direct because you went directly to TPT to buy it. So UTMs have their place. They tell us about proof of concept, but it doesn't allow us the granular level of proof that action X produced result Y all of the time. So it's an open system. We don't have all of that information. Here are some numbers. I started to run ads July 18th. And this year, from July 18th to today, I've made $13.35 US. But my ads are running Canadian dollars. So I convert it into Canadian, so I convert it to Canadian, which is around $18.36. But after I take away my ad spend, I've made $836 Canadian. Compare that with last year. Last year, during this time period, I made $13.29 US. Which is around $18.27 Canadian, but I had no ad spend last year on Facebook ads. I had TPT ads running and I have TPT ads running this year, but I'm just ignoring that for simple math because it's the same. I always run TPT ads. So if I think about my profit compared to last year after my expenses, I'm down $992 because of that $1,000 ad spend, which then of course begs the question, why run Facebook ads, or why run Facebook ads to products that are lower than $20? Because there's this idea in TPT land that you should only run ads if the product is $20 or $40. And of course, the real answer is it depends. And you have to do trial and error to figure out, maybe in your situation at that time of the year, the conversion rate of a $3 product is wicked high. And maybe the Facebook ads only cost 7 cents per click. So then the math works out. But I'm doing this, one, to try to make $8,000 this month, and two, to learn about Facebook ads and how that works with TPT so I can make a money-making machine. At the start of the month, my return on ad spend for my 2 ad campaigns was 0.6. And now my return on ad spend is 1.0. Every dollar spent on advertising earns back $1 in a TPT product, which then may seem like, okay, well, it's not worth it because it's 1-to-1. But this is where now I wonder about the SEO impact of running Facebook ads and getting those sales. If the sales break even, then you're not wasting money on the advertising campaign, but you may get hidden boosts in TPT SEO that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. This resource used to be free. Watch the other episodes in this 8,000 challenge to see how I made this free resource into my #1 selling best resource. Best selling is of course in quotes because this is based on the TPT SEO algorithm. It's not based on actual sales. And I know that because if I search for TPT seller, and if I scroll down and click on Ultimate Bundle, and if I get that bundle and download it all, in the bundle, there are lots of different goodies to help you increase sales. I'm going to open up the most recent one, which is this TPT SEO search algorithm game. It's the Blue Smoothie update, which allows us to see the real conversion rate from our product stats. I'm going to make a copy of this Google Sheet. Now you have to read the terms of service to make sure you're comfortable with what this tool does. It connects to the TPT website. So I'm going to click on my game board. I'm going to copy my store URL. I'm going to right-click Paste Special Values Only to get the URL in there. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go to teacherspayteachers.com. I'm going to click on Product Statistics. I'm going to download my product statistics today in the Google Sheet. I'm going to click this yellow cell and I'm going to go File, Import, Upload, Browse. I'm going to find my resource, replace data at the selected cell. I'm going to import my product stat CSV. And then in the cell beside it, I'm going to write the date of this CSV file, which is August 7th, 2024. Now, if I scroll up to the top, I need to allow access to the internet. So I'm going to click on this button that allows access and boom, here are my top 20 resources on my TPT store page. And I can see right away in terms of total earnings, the reading strategies has $28,000 and my back to school goal setting activity has $100. So it's not based on pure earnings. But we knew that. What this new game board does is there's a game board B, and at the bottom here, if I click on game board B, and if I scroll down, I can upload a second product stat CSV file. So 7 days ago would have been July 31st. So I'm going to click on this yellow cell. I'm going to click File, Import, Upload, Browse. Now I have a bunch of product stat CSV files, so I'm going to find one from July 31st, and I'm going to open that. Basically, every time I update a product, I download my product stat CSV file. And just like last time, I'm going to change the location to replace data at selected cell, import data, and the date of this file is July 31st, 2024. And now something cool has happened because at the very top here, this game board now shows me the stats for the last 7 days. This is the real conversion rate. It looks at the number of units sold and it divides that by the number of page views it's had. I can see that the product that I'm advertising for back to school has gotten a lot, thousands of views from Facebook people. Whereas my reading strategies bundle has only had 86 organic page views. So that's why the conversion rate is so different. That conversion rate of 9%, that's an accurate. I'm not running TPT ads to this product this month. So that's really interesting to me because that means that the reading strategy resource has a conversion rate of 10% when people are finding it naturally through TPT search. But there isn't really a good reason for this back to school goal setting resource to be in the #1 spot on my store based on the search algorithm compared to my reading strategy bundle, because the reading strategy bundle has earned $150 in this time period. The back to school resources earn $65. The reading strategy product is more expensive. It's $25 compared to $375. But in terms of units sold, not total earnings, that back to school resource has had 24 units sold. I think the number of units sold might have a bigger SEO effect than the number of units sold times the price of the resource, which is what I previously thought. Because if I consider here the price of the product times the number of units, my reading strategy bundle is higher than my back to school resource. So this makes me wonder if activity is more important than earnings in the TPT search algorithm. I think there might be a store halo effect where if one product does well, then all of the resources on your store do better. Or if that product is part of a bundle, then I think that if this product sells well, then that bundle has a boost in TPT SEO. If we go back to the UTMs and the traffic data, I'm driving a lot of Facebook traffic, but I also have people buying from ConvertKit. Now, none of the other emails that I've sent out have been tracked yet. I've sent out, since July 31st, I've sent 6 emails. So here's the $10 bonus and a bonus for you that converted into 30 or 40 bucks. And then since then, and I don't think the numbers are in the traffic dashboard yet, but then I have my back to school sale email. And then I have another one about how beautiful is your garden. And the strategy that I'm trying is I'm following now a couple of the big players on their email list to see what they send out. And so basically when they send out an email, I look at that and say, I could do something like that with my own style, my own voice, but I'm also paying attention to how frequently they send out emails. I've never had my phone ringing so much, so I turned it on because I'm trying to remember this moment. But basically, because I'm on these other big seller email lists, when I get the email, I'm like, hey, that's cool. It's almost like it gives me permission. It's okay to send multiple emails to my email newsletter group because I feel bad. I have imposter syndrome and I think I don't want to disturb them. It's a Sunday, it's a Monday. I've already sent them 5, 6, 7 emails. And yep, some people unsubscribe, right? There are always unsubscribers. And I feel a little bit of pain and shame when I have unsubscribers, even though it's 10 out of 2,000 people. So a very small list. But the flip side is I still pay attention to those 10. But then I have to remind myself, well, they could be leaving because they're not teaching middle school English anymore. So it's not personal, Mike. It's a numbers game. So that's where I'm at right now. If you have any questions about something I've done, ask below. If you like this kind of video or if you learned something new, can you please thumbs up? It lets me know that I should continue to make more content like this. And as much as I'd like to separate my sense of self-worth from the likes and the subscribers, it's really hard. So if you want to encourage this kind of content, if you think that this is a voice that we don't get a lot in TPT land, and that's the comments that I get, like, oh, I appreciate your candor and transparency with what you're doing. So if you like that, leave a comment, thumbs up, subscribe. Too many things in that call to action. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.